He got problems, she got problems. Only I got 411 problems. Hey, hi, what's up, y'all? Welcome and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to a new vlog. Welcome to another Angel Reacts. This one, most of the time, I try my best not to do political on any of my platforms because we are policed very hard. And when I say we, I'm saying we as a whole, as African American creators, we are policed very hard when it's time for us to create or being in the algorithm. Policed, shadow banned, very hard, very, very hard. When I'm in the algorithm, numbers are there. Check out my Shein hauls. When I'm in the algorithm, the numbers come in. Most of the time I'm shadow banned on every platform. Every platform. So most of the time I do not get into the political type situation. I usually kind of just keep that to myself. But when it's time to vote, I do encourage people to go out and use their right to vote. Whatever choice you decide to do, whatever party you decide to vote for, especially my African American community, because our ancestors and people fought so hard for the right to vote. So I push that. Please go use your right. Don't sit back. Do not miss the opportunity to voice your opinion and use your right to vote. It is your right. I never heard of Charliekirk until today because he is all over my timeline. I do not condone violence at all to any community. I do not condone violence to any community. But the way things are going at this very point right now, I really want to let the Caucasian community know, dear white people, the phone call is coming from inside of the house. The phone call is coming from inside of the house. Let me explain. Y'all remember the story? Actually, the very first time I heard this story, it was during Halloween season. I was in middle school when I heard this phone. It was like a girl, she was babysitting, and once she was babysitting, the phone kept ringing and it was somebody playing on the phone, and she was like, who is this? And the phone calls got weirder and weirder and weirder. She called the operator, she called 911, be like, hey, this is what's going on. Actually, I think it was just the police. I don't think 911 was in big time around this point. She had called the police, the operator, and was like, hey, like, I'm getting these phone calls. Can you trace the number? When the phone calls kept coming, finally, when the operator called back, said, hey, get out of the house. The phone call is coming from inside of the house. And I think I saw this story remixed on Scream, the very first one, if I'm not mistaken. It was either the first one or the second one. I think it was the first one when the girl was doing the popcorn. I think it was the very first one. He was like, I'm inside the house. Yeah, the phone call is coming from inside of the house. African Americans have to be twice as good to get the bare minimum that we receive. We have to be twice as good. And with the internet, the scary part of that is a lot of people, no matter the facts that are put out there, can take something and rage bait a group of people to go after another group of people because of beliefs or what they think. I looked at quite a few videos now. Again, I have never heard of this man until today, and now he's up and down my timeline, of course. Do not condone what happened to him, but a lot of the things that he was saying were ridiculous. There's a video where he says he doesn't believe in empathy. He believes that's a made up word. Ironically, we're being asked to have sympathy and empathy for his family. Wouldn't that be against his wishes? Because he didn't believe in that? The next thing I saw was he did not believe in removal of fetuses. You can believe what you want to believe, but I feel like a woman should have a right to choose. And during one of these, I guess I don't know if it was show, podcast, group discussion. I don't know what he was calling whatever when he would go talk to people. There was a young lady who stood up and she said, I agree with you with no choice, no removal of babies, because you are getting rid of wonderful people. You don't know the wonderful people that you are carrying. And this is a wonderful person right here. I would like to introduce to you my son. I was sexually assaulted by my father. And here's the result.
So I wasn't going to come up here, but I heard someone talking about how abortions are important because it takes babies out of the population. And I just wanted to say that by saying that, they are wanting to take out very important people. 4 years ago, I was by my father, and I chose not to have an abortion, and this is what came out of it.
And people were clapping. Sweetheart, you gave birth to your sibling. You gave birth to your sibling and used that as an example for not agreeing with the right to choose, even though you didn't have the right to choose because you were assaulted by your father. You didn't even have the right to choose intercourse. And they were clapping. He said he didn't believe in systematic racism. A lot of the times when I hear people always say, oh my God, it's not always about race. It's not always about race. Why are you always bringing up the color of your skin? And most of the time, the people who say that all the time is because the color of your skin is not even a factor when you're being approached, when you're being judged, when you're doing daily walking in the store. The color of your skin is probably not a factor, because you're probably not being judged by it. He answered and said, the Jews who went through more horrible things than the African American community when it comes down compared to slavery, pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and made a better life for themselves. What's wrong with the African American community? What's the difference? The difference is the Jews got reparations. We didn't. And even when we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and we invest and make our own communities, your community, you come and burn it down. And use weapons to unalive us in a church, in a grocery store. The phone call is coming from inside of the house. It's you. Even this latest situation that y'all are desperately trying to rage bait with the young lady on the train. When I first saw the video, first of all, most of us don't even agree with it. We do not condone violence as y'all put out. You know, the black on black crime. Y'all are always killing each other, and it's so crazy. I go to the ID channel and watch Dateline, and Nightline, and I see the white on white crime. The phone call is coming from inside of the house. But this train incident was absolutely disgusting. And I want to know, you know what? Let me take the time out. Let me go look up the judges. Hold on. Judge Teresa Stokes, African American, released him after 14 arrests. Why? He was schizophrenic. Promised to take medication, which most of the time, schizophrenia, when you're off your meds, you do crazy stuff. I know. There's a schizophrenic in my family. Yeah. So the mental illness thing that a lot of Caucasians use when they get in trouble. Do I condone this? No, I do not. I do not. I do not condone it at all. Not one bit. Not one bit do I condone it at all. What I absolutely despise is you, the Caucasian community, are using this as race bait to start a war. That's what I absolutely despise. The phone call is coming from within inside of the house. I watched this one person, and I don't even know who he was. It happened to come up on my YouTube home feed. And he was using the video, and you edited because you said nobody came to her aid. And the first person after the disgusting act that happened to her on that train, the first person that ran to her aid was an African American person. And y'all edit that out and said nobody came to her aid, which wasn't true. The phone call is coming from within inside of the house. And when I watched it, my first thought was, girl, why you got your back in the open? And I had to realize she was taught differently from us. We are given rules on how to survive the white community. You don't ever, even as a woman, just as a woman, you don't ever have your back open. You try to sit next to other women. You sit in a group. You have your back, especially on transportation, because public transportation is not all that safe for anybody, but especially women. So you try to have your back to the window. You don't give anybody an opportunity to come behind you. She came from a whole different country, and please don't get me wrong, you're not gonna pretend to sit here after y'all just made a whole mockery about immigrants being in our country that America failed her and she was an immigrant, or she just wasn't the immigrant that you guys approve of. The phone call is coming from within inside of the house because she was an immigrant. Y'all just danced and partied and wanted to get rid of people. So please do not sit here and try to think or push that, oh, we just love immigrants as Americans. And you don't. And you don't. The phone call is coming from within inside of the house. The fact that y'all thought when you put this president in office that it wasn't going to affect you. His decisions and his actions wasn't going to affect you. You really thought we were going back in the fields? So instead of you making it easier for immigrants to go through the process to get a green card, for them to be legal, to get legal status, you make it hard for them. And they were here working and busting their butt. And it affected you. You mean to tell me you didn't know you was hiring illegal immigrants? You knew, because it was cheaper labor. You knew. And now that we are not biting the bait from the rage that you are trying to put out to start a race war, because if you go on the internet and you go look up under, especially on Twitter, X, oh my, the nasty comments, the taking pictures of African American people and then using them as your profile picture for you to pretend you're an African American person, by talking about African American people, by talking about the Latino community, the Hispanic community. The phone call is coming from inside of the house. We mind our business. We are over here minding our business. You really didn't think all that hate, all that rage that you are putting out, trying to trap and bring in other communities, that it wasn't going to infest yours? You really didn't think that was going to happen? The phone call is coming from inside of the house. You guys control the algorithms, as I said before. You control the algorithms. We cannot do anything. We don't even have a chance. You guys will take our ideas and go viral, get paid, get contracts, get sponsorships, get all that stuff. And we can say, hey, that was our idea, and have video proof, and still be shadow banned. The phone call is coming from inside the house. I watched on Instagram 2 Caucasian men fighting at a restaurant, and one was calling the other the N-word. Both of them were Caucasian. I saw 2 Caucasian women arguing. One was calling the other the N-word. Both of them were Caucasian. The phone call is coming from inside of the house. You really didn't think the hate that you're trying to use to trap African American communities, the brown community, the Hispanic community, any other community that does not look like you really didn't think the hate was going to infest your house. I don't know how y'all didn't learn from the panorama. How y'all didn't learn from the panorama? He did not care that this was happening. You found that out later. He didn't even want to send y'all money. That was Congress. Actually, the Democrats that wanted to send you money because you weren't able to go out and work. You couldn't even stand close to people. You couldn't cough. You couldn't sneeze. The phone call is coming from inside of the house. There has to be a point in the time when you look in the mirror and start doing a self-reflection, because it's not the community over here. We knew this was coming. We have been taught from birth. You want to know how I know? Let me give you another example. Under President Bush, we had to have a stimulus package then too. That time, it was only $300. I think we got two $300 checks. There was barely any gas. There was barely any jobs. And it was a lot of issues going on because of 9/11, which is today. He was despised everywhere to the point where when he went in another country, they threw a shoe at him because of the frustration. When that war was happening, y'all were fine because we were on the front lines. Because a lot of the times the African American community would go into the military because the military would pay for school. We were able to travel. We were able to get our education and make money. But we were on the front lines. So when we started being unalive and dying and no longer us being on the front line, it was your children on the front line. 16, 17, 18, 16, 17-year-olds popping on the screen as soldiers dying in a war for the, what did he say? The weapons of mass destruction that they never found. When we knew it was about oil for him and his friends because they bought stock and racked up. The phone call is coming from within inside of the house. The race war that y'all are trying to start, we're not falling for it. We're used to it. We've been equipped. And unfortunately, the brown community, the Hispanics, missed the memo, even though we tried to tell them. The phone call is coming from within inside of the house. To my African American brothers and sisters, to my Hispanic community, please be careful. Please be careful. Because they're looking for somebody to blame and they're not looking within. They're not looking in the mirror. You know, without a shadow of a doubt, you do not get the same perks. You do not get the same passes. You have to be extra careful where you work, shopping, driving, walking, jogging. The phone call is coming from within side of the house and they are not looking at themselves. I want you all to be careful that passive aggressiveness that's going on at work. You're not crazy. You notice it. You notice it. Be careful. The little passive aggressive or the little baits that's being thrown out when you're out shopping, when you're out driving, be careful. The phone call, dear white people, is coming from inside of the house. I love you the mostest because you're definitely the dopest in real life. And I'll see you guys in the next one. This probably won't go nowhere because, as I said, they control the algorithm. So, bye.